10 things I bet you did not know about Dennis Rader. Who is Dennis Rader? Dennis Rader is formerly known as the BTK Killer. These are 10 things I bet you didn't know about Dennis Rader. And thank you for joining me today. Dennis Rader spends 23 hours a day in his cell, locked away from anyone at all. The reason why he is only allowed 1 hour a day, and everywhere he goes, he must be escorted, is fellow prisoners at the El Dorado Correction Center consider Dennis Rader a pedophile. They believe him to be a pedophile and nothing else. Not a serial killer, not someone looked up to, but a pedophile. And you know how well they get along in prison. For his own protection, for 23 hours a day, he is in his own cell. Dennis Rader, on a monthly basis, corresponds with a half a dozen fans of Dennis Rader. People who write to him and want to talk to him about everything. But Dennis won't talk about everything. He will only talk about the weather, flowers, how the flowers in that person's area are growing, what kind of wildflowers are around, what their garden, if they have one, is like. Do they have an outdoor walking nature area? These are the things that Dennis wants to talk about. He refuses to communicate with any fan or anyone outside of prison other than his attorney or the one particular doctor about his crimes at all. He won't talk about them at all with anyone. Not even his own daughter, Carrie Rawson. He won't talk about his actual crimes. In 2020 and in 2023, cold cases, 6 of them to be exact, were reopened to see if Dennis Rader was the actual killer itself. All of these cases that were reopened in 2020 and in 2023 are still open to this day, and investigators and detectives are going through those cases to see if Dennis Rader was actually the killer of these individuals. The one case in particular that from 1976 that they have strong connections and possible evidence that Dennis Rader was the killer is Cynthia Kinney. Dennis Rader refuses to communicate with any state or local law enforcement agency because, in his own words, they are liars and they will do nothing but twist my words and lie. Because they fooled him, he believes, when he asked if he sent in a disc to them, a floppy disk, 3 1/4 actually, disc to them, if they could actually trace it back to whoever it came from. They said no, which was a complete lie, and that was the downfall of Dennis Rader. But he refuses to speak with them. Mainly, he will only speak with federal authorities, the FBI, and one individual doctor, a Catherine Ramsland, who he penned an actual book with. He helped her write the book to understand his actual crimes. Somewhere between the later part of 2020 and 2021, the first part of January of 2021, Dennis Rader suffered a stroke while in prison. We don't know exactly when because the medical records are being protected by HIPAA, and not even his daughter will speak about the actual date of when this stroke happened. But he suffered a stroke in the later part of 2020, first month of 2021. Dennis Rader has not been a perfect inmate at the El Dorado Correction Center where he is currently at. He has been written up. He has lost privileges in access to the library and to the phone system and to be able to write letters out to his fans and family because he has done things like refuse to cuff up when leaving his cell or cuff up when going back to his cell and other things along that line. He hasn't been caught with any type of contraband in his cell, but he has, fought the law, I guess, from the inside over the years that he has been in prison. Back to the possible stroke. But on top of that, according to his daughter, Carrie Rawson, his mental health has deteriorated a lot, particularly in the last 3 years. So that would be past the point of the actual stroke itself, his mental health has actually deteriorated to the point where right now medical doctors who have seen him in the penitentiary at El Dorado believe that he is in the early stages of either Alzheimer's or some form of dementia. But Dennis Rader refuses to cooperate even to this day with them. Dennis Rader refers to his cell where he lives as the cave. And all of those who correspond with from the outside write letters to him and address them. How is the cave today? C-A-V-E, cave, as in a cave in a mountain, is how he refers to his cell. He is incarcerated in an 8x10 cell and confined to a wheelchair most of the time. When Dennis Rader is not being a complete screw-up behind bars at the El Dorado Correction Center and writing letters to his fans, he spends most of his days watching soap operas on television and reading books that he can get from the prison library. So much so, he is one of the most prolific readers of any book that they can get their hands on in the prison library. He reads everything. Medical journals, fiction, nonfiction, romance novels. He reads everything. And he does it constantly, week in and week out. I bet you didn't know about Dennis Rader. Dennis Rader is actually eligible for parole. Yes, in February of the year 2180, he is eligible for parole. If he is to somehow live out his sentence to that date of February of 2080, he will see the parole department approximately 6 months before then. And they will hear from him, if he can speak, on why he should be able to be released. But he has an actual eligibility parole date of February 26, 2180. Tell me down below in the comments, how many of these 10 did you know about Dennis Rader, the BTK killer?